gentlemen, our next panel addresses one of the most sensitive and mission-critical sectors of global logistics, pharmaceutical cargo. We present Tarmac to treatment, air cargo's role in strengthening pharma supply chains. With global demand rising and disruptions becoming more frequent, air cargo is under pressure to deliver pharma shipments with absolute reliability. This panel will examine how digital transformation, certified corridors, and stronger partnerships shaping the next era of pharma supply chains. First, I would like to invite on stage our absolutely wonderful moderator for this panel discussion, Mr. Keku Bomi Gazder, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Aviapro Logistics Services. With vast experience in air freight forwarding and end-to-end cargo logistics, he oversees global operations, strategic growth, and client service excellence, positioning Aviapro as trusted partner in international logistics. Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Suresh Nair, Head Cargo, Navi Mumbai International Airport. With deep expertise in airport cargo management and air freight facilitation, he is instrumental in shaping a modern cargo hub at the Navi Mumbai International Airport to support India's growing global trade ambitions. Welcome, Mr. Nair. Next, I would like to call on stage Mr. Asim Kapoor, Country Head, Air Freight, Asia Shipping, India. With extensive experience in international air freight logistics and supply chain execution, he drives operational growth, carrier partnerships, and seamless cargo movement across key global trade corridors. Welcome, Mr. Kapoor. Moving on next, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Steffani Souza, Global Head Pharma Product Delta Cargo. With deep expertise in pharmaceutical logistics and compliance, she drives Delta Cargo's global pharma strategy, ensuring efficient temperature-controlled transport and regulatory adherence. Welcome, Ms. Steffani. Next, I would like to invite on stage Dr. Arloph Vieira, Vice President Supply Chain, Bajaj Healthcare. With 30-plus years of pharmaceutical supply chain leadership, his deep expertise spans operations, regulatory compliance, and supply chain resilience, ensuring robust delivery of healthcare products across markets. Welcome, Dr. Arloph. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Amritendu Mukherjee, Head Global Logistics, Dr. Reddy's Lab. Mr. Mukherjee oversees global logistics operations and regulatory complaint distribution networks. With significant experience in global supply chain planning and pharma logistics, he ensures efficient and secure delivery of critical medicines worldwide. Welcome, Mr. Mukherjee. Over to you, sir. And you guys are lucky. You'll have a beautiful lady on the panel today. So I'm sure you're all going to have a wonderful panel discussion. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My fellow panelists, mentors, gurus, colleagues in the air cargo industry, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you have heard of this phrase called thinking outside the box? You know, in our industry, we should be thinking more inside the box. You know, it's very appropriate that we focus on what's inside the box and how we look at cargo from a perspective of knowing more what the product is. So in today's discussion, what I want to do with my fellow panelists is, I'm going to be the Google of the day. So I'm the data guy, and these are the storytellers, and they're going to tell you good stories. If you like stories, that's what they're going to give you. And what we want to do is to bring out certain actionable points that we can take back to our respective bases and see how we can improve what we are setting out to do. So, pharma to me is a conscious business. It's a business of conscious. It's not so much about making money as it is about saving lives. Often, and I know this very well in times of COVID, when people are asking, what do you guys do? And the common answer was, we were saving lives, the entire industry. That's what you were doing. And that's what the pharma business is all about. It's our job as an industry, whether we are forwarders, whether we are terminal operators, whether we are manufacturers, we have one simple, plain, easy task, and that is to get a product that is manufactured at a point of your factory to the patient in a condition at which they give us is received in the same condition at which the patient receives it. Simple. It's not a complicated business to be in. So, on this panel, ladies and gentlemen, you've got manufacturers, you've got terminal operators, you've got airlines, you've got forwarders, and they're all very harmonious people. They all like each other, so they're going to smile and talk to each other. But yes, we all have our challenges between ourselves, and the whole idea is to see how we work harmoniously together as one unit to deliver a shipment in the condition it is supposed to be delivered. So, I'm going to put my Google hat on, start off with a little bit of data, set into context what we're going to discuss about today, and then we'll dive into these questions. Some big numbers. Okay, the global pharma air freight market is close to about 20 billion. Please correct me if my numbers are off, because sometimes with ChatGPT and Google these days, it's a little difficult to get the exact numbers. So if I'm off by a couple of millions or billions, correct me. Fun fact, about 2% of the total cargo volume is pharma today. And that's a significant amount of our cargo that is moving as pharma in the air. Close to, I would say about 2%, again, of the industry is controlled by the broader industry sector for cargo as pharma. And we had something like 46,000 flights that supplied the vaccines during COVID, which was, in my understanding, it was the most significant part of the air cargo industry to show its prominence to the world. There are some pain points, and we're not going to push the pain points under the carpet. We want to see how we can address these pain points. We still have approximately 40 to 60% of pharmaceutical shipments that require temperature control. And as we go through the next 45, 50 minutes, we will be debating about this. And the sad fact, 12% of pharma shipments still experience temperature excursions. Not good. Like I said, we are in the conscious business. We are in the business of conscious. And that's what I want to keep driving at. And we have a huge and a very bad statistic on the kind of vaccines that are compromised through temperature control. I had this discussion many times with Amritendu as well, and we're trying to see how we can narrow this gap down to have vaccines, especially medicines in general, reach properly. Now, the cold chain failures can take place anywhere. And I think we had some studies that we discussed this morning. A lot of it is to do with the tarmac. I'll be specific on the tarmac, where we're still losing control of the temperature. The problem is when the chain breaks, the temperature chain breaks, it's broken. Okay, there is no band-aid or a fix that you can put a super glue on and says, you know what, we'll push some more ice and things will get brown. It doesn't work that way. So it's very important that the entire chain here in this panel is focused on that one deliverable, which is the unbroken chain. Don't break the chain for the product. Now, it's not just the loss of, let's say, volume or money or air freight. It's also the loss of a dose that has taken probably millions of dollars to formulate, to develop, to do R&D work, and that's gone. It's just, it's over. And today, as I did some reading, we are not even counting delays of days. That period is over. You're now counting delays of minutes. You're counting delays of temperature excursion in minutes. Okay, that's the level in which the focus is moving towards as we go forward. Why is that important? Because every minute that the shipment is experiencing turbulence, you have a problem on the validity. And I don't think it's in our conscience for any one of us to have a dead vaccine or a medicine given to someone in some country or some part of the world. That's not just how it works. The other important point I think we should realize is that reacting to a problem in other products still has a recovery. A shipment of mobile phone doesn't reach, or a garment doesn't reach, or an auto part doesn't reach. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm saying it's not that big of a problem as which a pharma is delayed to reach or doesn't reach in the condition. The recovery part for that is extremely tight. We will talk as we go forward during this discussion about active solutions, passive solutions, and the esteemed panelists here will come up with their own ways and versions of how they are doing or what they are doing within their scope of activity to improve this. Now, we also have some regulatory issues that we've still not been able to solve. The regulations of the CEIV, the regulations of India versus US versus EU versus many other parts are not harmonized in the way I think it's supposed to be. But I think that is being worked around to see that we get into a harmonious stage. You've not come here to listen to me, you want to listen to them, but I'm giving you 8 key objectives that I think we will be discussing in detail. Cold chain, end-to-end visibility. Everybody wants to know everything, everywhere, every time. Regulatory compliance, I just touched upon it. Enhanced visibility, that's monitoring of the shipment, digitization, building supply chain resilience. We just spoke about it. Collaboration across the entire ecosystem. Here on this panel is the entire ecosystem. We optimize speed, reliability, and connectivity. And lastly, a topic that is now gaining a lot of focus, a lot of attention is sustainability. All right? Everybody wants to know what is your sustainability matrix. What are you doing? And that's becoming an increasingly important point of discussion when business is being given to a particular subject. So, having started that, this is what broadly Tarmac to treatment is. Okay. The Tarmac is critical. We're going to spend some time talking about it. The treatment is something which is the end result, the end product of what we want to do. This is about science connecting people. This is science, it's connecting people, and that's why we will be talking more about this as we go forward. Let me start with Suresh as terminal operator. A lot of you here based in Mumbai would know that in the foreseeable future, Suresh is putting up a fantastic terminal at Navi, Mumbai, called the Navi Mumbai International Terminal. And Suresh, I've asked Suresh to come up with a brief on what this terminal is going to do as far as pharma is concerned. To you who are in this audience, who are forwarders, businessmen, producers, etc., important for you to hear what Suresh comes up with in his discussion. Let's not forget, this is a major hub for the export of pharma out of the country. Not just, when I say hub, and I'm not just referring to NMIA, I'm talking to the entire west coast of India. You're starting from Gujarat, going down to Maharashtra, going down to Goa, going down to probably even Kerala. You've got huge pharma. So this is a major cluster. So Suresh, if I may start with you, tell us something about NMIA that they don't know or Google doesn't know, and you're going to tell them how you want to attract their business to your terminal. Over to you, Suresh.
Thank you, Keku. Good afternoon. Um, you actually rightly put it. When it comes to pharma as a business, and we as stakeholders, the entire supply chain, it's moral, ethical, and social responsibility to make sure that the entire cold chain is maintained throughout the journey as such. So make sure that, okay, the purpose of that particular product is actually served rather than just moving a medicine from point A to point B. So we actively play a major part as part of this supply chain itself. As an airport, we make sure that the adequate facilities and the requirements as per the industry standards have been like kind of put in place. One of the advantages what we have at Navi Mumbai Airport is that because it's a greenfield airport, we had the opportunity to go through the entire requirement as such, how it needs to be done, everything could be planned in such a way. And as per the latest standards, what we have in the industry, so that we can be at par with any other leading airports across the world as such. So if I have to just put it specific to what we have as a terminal, in the initial phase itself, where we are starting off with a 0.5 million metric ton capacity, we have already planned for dedicated corridors for pharmaceuticals, for perishables, which will be like kind of in line with the entire, from the acceptance till the dispatch or vice versa, from acceptance from the aircraft until the delivery to the customer. We make sure that it's in a adequate, proper environment, how it needs to be there. The ambient temperatures are maintained entirely across the corridors, and the required 2 to 8 degrees or minus 25 freezing temperature rooms are already been like enough planned and built as such. In the near or far future, whenever you are like kind of interacting with us or visiting our terminal, you will be able to witness that. And we make sure that the requirement from an airport perspective is been fulfilled as such. So the entire purpose is not just limited only to the facility of the terminal itself as such. So because we as an airport, we also make sure that the connectivity with the airline is also being like kind of maintained. So we will also be looking at areas of like, once it moves out of the terminal and it has to reach to that particular aircraft, there is a lead time or a dwell time which needs to be like where the shipments have to be in a certain temperature. And we as a country, we are no longer any cold countries or anything as such. We are not Europe, right?
True.
So obviously, we are also almost like the Middle East, where people, where the right type of equipments have already been incorporated as such. Say, for example, be it Qatar, be it Dubai, any of these places. So we also, as a country, we need to make sure that our facilities across all our airports needs to have that kind of a cool chain being maintained, not just at the terminal itself, but also from the terminal to the aircraft and while it is coming back. So things like cool dollies, all these things will be like kind of planned in our infrastructure going forward. And at the same time, one of the things what I have understood from also the discussions is that there could be, as the demand grows, as we were talking earlier today, with the expected demand in the active and the passive pharma movement, which is expected through air, we also could look at areas where like kind of having a staging area, which is more at the ramp or the tarmac, because one of the major concerns what we highlighted is that the issue of excursion is always at the tarmac and not at the facility, be it in your vehicle or be it in the terminal, it's at the tarmac. So we could look at solutions where we can have a staging area which is like kind of suitable enough to store those particular ULDs or loose cargo, which is in a proper acceptable condition, avoiding too much of a lead time until it gets loaded into an aircraft or after it is being offloaded from an aircraft and moved to the terminal. So
Perfect.
all these things have been like kind of in the plan as such. I'm not saying that, okay, today we have it available, but to make sure that we are upkeeping ourselves as per the requirements of the industry, we will be making sure these things have been incorporated. Thank you.
Suresh, that is music to our ears. I think there are 2 points that came out very clear. You're going to do cool dollies. You're going to do staging areas next to the aircraft. So which means...
We'll be planning those kind of things, yes.
So which means, Amritendu, what we discussed earlier, transit time taken in the open area is now minimized. So I think that's great, Suresh, and thank you for highlighting that. In terms of pharma, that probably to me until today was, let's say, the black hole area where we're not able to take control, and that's coming up really well. Thanks for that. Asim, thanks so much for stepping in the place of Amit. Asim, as a forwarder, you've got pharma companies that come to you and tell you, we need a solution, all right? We need you to tell us exactly how are you going to handle this end-to-end. And you are talking with terminal operators, you're talking with airlines, you're talking with everybody else in the ecosystem. What is something unique that you ask or you want from the rest of the industry to help you secure more of the pharma business through your organization?
That's a very interesting question, and it also shows us the journey we have covered in the last couple of decades, especially in terms of temperature-sensitive shipments, especially pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
The kind of solutions we have now available in the past couple of years down the line, and those solutions are now being manufactured in India with these packages coming up. Because I recall with my experience, we used to source it from an organization earlier, these passive packagings, what we are talking about,
Correct.
which were earlier imported into India. So to have a package in Mumbai, I used to source it from Hyderabad.
You're right.
So I used to buy it from Hyderabad, bring it to Delhi or bring it to Mumbai or to Ahmedabad. Now with these facilities coming up and this becoming an essential part of the trade, the packages which are coming up, which are qualified packages. So when we talk about what you asked was like as a forwarder, so forwarder over here is rightly said is the connecting point between, we represent the shipper, and we also have to look into the compliances and look into all the parameters which is required to maintain and retain that temperature. And we use a lot of technology now into that. The challenge at Tarmac has been taken over. Yes, it has been a challenge, but with the solutions coming up with the passive packaging using PCM and other methods, and which are economical, one. Secondly, these are reusable. So that's the best part. So when somebody buys it and sends it to the consignee, it can again be used with this, you can do the thrashing and you can reuse it again back. So it's not that you buy something which is disposable. So it's a reusable thing. So they can use it again in storing it at destination where they do not have the temperature warehouses for a certain period, not for long, but yes. That's one of the factors. Secondly, we use a lot of technology like data loggers, IoT sensors, what kind of an exposure, light exposure, temperature incursion. So that is all online now with the platforms, which earlier, if you talk about in the last decade, was not that easily available and very expensive. But now it's very easily available. It's now very cost effective also now. And then the best part, and especially which we are not looking at is, as a forwarder, we need to understand the supplier, the manufacturers under requirements. We need to have that GDP compliance in place.
Correct.
So until and unless we are GDP compliance, following it up, understanding the processes, and then keeping a tab on that, that only helps us in identifying if something goes wrong. The idea is to maintain and to follow the SOPs, the processes, and if something goes wrong, any excursion, anything is noted, to be brought to the notice of the specialized, because we are not specialized into that. We can monitor and share the data so that a corrective measure can be taken into practice.
Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Azim. Moving on to Steffani. Steffani, first of all, welcome to India. Thank you for traveling all the way from Miami to be with us today. Thank you. Steffani, you represent one of the biggest carriers today in the world as Delta Cargo. You carry a huge amount of pharma, and you are growing your capacity of what you carry on your flights. The pharma component, as I understand, is growing more and more. Now, you have a tough task to ensure that the quality of the medicine that you receive, probably a lot from India as well, are in a condition that you and your customers in the US want it. Plus, you also are a hub for transshipping to Latin America and Central America as well. Huge responsibility. how do you ensure that the quality remains after the journey that has been undertaking for so many hours? Do you have something that you want to share? How does it go with you?
Sure. Is it working?
Works.
All right. Before I dive into your response, Mr. Keku, I love when you were setting the stage for this discussion and you used several times the word consciousness, right?
Correct.
And I think all of us here as service providers, right, that's very important that we are conscious of the things that we can do and the things that we cannot do and be transparent and honest, right, on how we do these things. And along those lines, the way Delta is doing things is to make sure that everywhere we're taking these pharmaceuticals, that we have these capabilities that these products need. And as an airline, we have over 300 destinations that we can reach. And since we are conscious and mindful about the care that we need to have with these products, we limit these flights and these corridors for only 50 destinations. And the main reason we do this, and it's also the foundation of our product and the things that we do every day, is that we can control the quality of the transportation of these destinations. So there is a lot of things that need to happen in every single one of these places to make this possible. So we invest a lot in cooler facilities. So everywhere we're taking these pharmaceuticals, we ensure we can store these things properly. The training that we also offer to our agents is specifically dedicated to the gaps and the specific things that we have in those locations. And in addition to that, the maintenance and the communication that we have in these airports and these specific destinations, it's something that we like to control, so we make this a very small offer to our customers, right? So we can offer this level of quality. And when we go to the analysis to offer these products in our airports, there are even instances that we see that a tarmac time is 3 hours. And yeah, there are instances that we gotta make a decision that no, we cannot be here, we cannot offer this here because it's risky, right? We cannot deliver the promise that we want to deliver to our customers. So we're very honest and transparent on how we do things, and these are our priorities, right? And as I mentioned, Pharma is a very important product for us, and Delta today has one of the largest cooler facilities in the Southeast, and we offer like 30,000 square meters of cooler to our customers, and everything is segregated for pharmaceuticals. And as we see like the demand of these products growing, we also make the investment in New York, which is our second largest hub in the United States. And today, Delta also has like the largest cooler facility in New York, and all fully segregated for pharmaceuticals. So I think the combination of those things, I think it's the minimum that we have to do to our customers to ensure that they will succeed on their transportation needs.
Great stuff. Thank you, Steffani. I think what you bring as a perspective to this discussion is as a receiving point, not as a dispatch point from India. The condition that you receive the pharma is equally important as we are talking about what we should do here at the origin. Thanks for that. I'll come back to you. Dr. Vieira, good to have you on the panel as well. So the Google in me told you some challenges. What's the Google in you telling you about challenges that you're facing in the pharma? And let's be open, let's be clear about it. This is what you're facing, this is what you require.
Thank you, Keku. In fact, two of the biggest challenges, what I would say the topmost for us is the cold chain management, okay? You said inside the box, I wanted to add inside the box with a data logger you should today. so that way, if you ask me, cold chain management is the most challenging and the most difficult. And we are very concerned about it as a shipper because it's the value of the product. You know, pharma has high value, low volume density products. So imagine a product goes through some broken chain and some temperature goes and there's an excursion. What happens? The whole shipment goes. So if you ask me, how do you manage? Now somebody said I do staging, and I was listening to you, Suresh. You know, it was very heartening. But I just want to give a caveat there. The more loading and unloading you do, the more chances of excursion. I'm talking from a technical point because I come from a pharma background, okay? There was one suggestion given in last, I think which conference, I don't remember whether it was at Hyderabad, the cold chain unplugged or what. One of the guys who had come from Europe, and you know what he said, Keku, that in Europe we have the reefer vehicles going up to the aircraft. Now in India, it's a big challenge. Everybody will pounce on me, the security challenges and all. But that's the best because it leaves from the factory, reaches to the aircraft, okay? There's nothing in between. It's seamless, okay? Whereas in India, what happens? You pick up, download it, unload it, then again you load it, go into a staging area, then bring it out, then cool dolly, then it goes there, and everything happens on the tarmac. And I want to ask this question to all of you all here. In tarmac, something happens. Who is accountable and responsible? I've been screaming this question for the last 4 or 5 conferences I've gone.
There's somebody next to you smiling about
Yeah,
it.
I know,
So
I'm
I know
sure.
how he smiles and why he's smiling.
Because he's on my side.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I can understand the pain point. I would like to ask this only, that something happened, invariably everything happens at the tarmac, nowhere else.
That's
And
why
the
we have today's topic is just tarmac.
Yeah. Keku, airlines don't take accountability for it. The airlines
Terminal.
are gone, airport authorities will not do, freight forwarder says, hum kya karenge? So I just want to know, and imagine it's not about accountability also. I have to give a kappa to the customer. What do I write? How I am going to prevent on the tarmac? What we have done on the tarmac that is going to prevent in the future? Kappa is what? Corrective action, preventive action, right? What do I do? And I want this question to be answered to whoever, like what do we do as a kappa to write for something happens on the tarmac? If all the learned wisdom guys, anybody from there also can tell me and help us, and I'm sure Amritendu, it will help you also, right? So please, if you can throw light on that.
Steffani,
I feel responsible to answer this one.
you put in a spot now.
I'm not taking any offenses here, just to make this clear. But we know tarmac is a challenge, right? And even if I go through my dashboards of kappas and I look for the main reason that why a temperature deviation occur, and no surprises. We see, oh, there was tarmac exposure. And these days, we have all these tracking devices and technologies, and they don't hide anything, right? They show exactly where your problem is. And as I mentioned, we're very conscious of the things that we can do and not do as an airline. And as we see so many repetitive patterns on these problems, we go to these locations and we see, okay, what do we have to change in here? Do I need a new GAJ? And as I said, we are transparent, we are not honest, and I got to the point that I need to close a lane because we have problems, right? And of course, all of us here, we have very different responsibilities through the journey of the shipment, right? And even on some CAPA reports that I see, like a shipment that was like in transit for just 1 day, and it was in a tarmac for 35 minutes, had a temperature exposure. Then we come back to the company and we ask, how did you pack the shipment?
Correct.
Right? So what I always say is not like how to make the GAJ of the airline responsible, but when you're planning on ship something, you need to be careful and look of how we're connecting things and all like the touch points in the journey, because you need to pack and prepare for that, because all of us here, we try to mitigate these problems, right? None of us is perfect, right? But again, we gotta be transparent and we gotta be honest, right? When I see a shipment that is in 30 minutes in a tarmac and I have a temperature deviation, I have to tell my customer, I am sorry, I cannot be responsible for this because you didn't pack for this, right? So I think all of us here are responsible, and we gotta be honest and be accountable for the things that we can do and not do, right? And I hope I could give you a good perspective, because I don't want to be the bad guy here.
This is, Keku, typical where, now it comes back to the manufacturing, how it was packed.
How is it packed?
So this ping pong ball will go on. But actually what happened is, I just want to ask a specific thing, like, on the tarmac is whose responsibility? Airline, it is not loaded, okay? It's not gone into the aircraft. And
That's
it is on the
technical.
tarmac.
Doc, that's technical because it's accepted by the airline, accepted, but it's still not loaded.
That's
so there's a difference between acceptings and loadings I want to get Suresh's point on this, if you don't mind. Amritendu, this is okay with you. Suresh,
absolutely.
You got to bridge this gap.
Okay, just to add on to what Stephanie was mentioning also, with regards to, see, we need to understand one thing, aviation is a regulated environment, okay? As much we want to be flexible with the way we want to do it, there is a certain process, there is a certain timelines which we all need to respect, and we cannot avoid it. And hence, the requirement of certain packing regulations or packing requirements, as Stephanie was mentioning, that it needs to be there. So we need to consciously understand as to what is expected. So don't like kind of come and say that, okay, no, because the aircraft is standing over there, so the cool dollies cannot go closer to the aircraft. So yes, because there is a safety concern, there are certain issues which also needs to be like kind of taken care of at a particular, by the airline as well as by the airport itself. So such issues need to be like kind of managed, and hence we prepare it. And correct me if I'm wrong, all these packing regulations came into existence because of the same reason, right? Because we need to make sure that the efficacy of those products are like kind of maintained throughout the journey. And I'm not trying to avoid from the fact that, okay, there is a mismanagement or a negligence which is happening at a particular point during the entire supply chain, where someone left a ULD or a package somewhere on the tarmac. I'm not just limiting to the tarmac, because everything is getting focused on the tarmac alone. And it doesn't happen only on the tarmac, it happens at entire the process also.
Majority, Suresh, happens at the tarmac. All excursions, majority.
Agreed.
IATA data says 50% of the deviations are on the tarmac. I stated it.
Okay.
So I'm actually itching. I have been itching for some
We
time.
could
in
see that on
terms
your
of-
face.
I'm hearing it because, the point is very straight. You started with science. Okay, so
Correct.
my fundamental of this industry is based on good science. As an organization, Reddy represents good science translated into affordable healthcare. We have two principles, and today I am wearing that hat and sitting here and trying to discuss. One is empathy and second is dynamism. So empathy is I am ready to partner with you in trying to understand, get into your shoes and understand that problem. And second,
Correct.
I'm ready to act. Now, sir, you tell me, I have asked this question in the last conference, and Keku sir has said that from last 25 years, we are still operating with a 2 to 3 hours zone waiting time at the tarmac for the loading of the aircraft. 20 years back, how many flights were you handling in that particular airport? Let me take an example of Mumbai, or let's say JFK, or let's say Chicago, or let's say Hyderabad. Number of flights that you are handling now, are we trying to say that the same rules apply even though the entire business scenario has changed, your entire traffic has changed, we have to go by the same rules? That's one fundamental point. Second, do we have an intent to solve the problem? If we have an intent to solve the problem, India is a land where we have lot of solutions. Sir, if you have an intent to solve a problem, first you need to measure the problem. Tell me how many airports today are publishing the data with regards to how much time the product is there in the tarmac, what has been the per, let's say, 30-minute rise in temperature, and thus creating some sort of a guidelines, let's say to the pharma industry. If you are moving a 15 to 25, I'm very, very carefully choosing the term. When you say pharma, cold chain, there are two categories. One category is cold chain, which is 2 to 8 degrees, where you have a special protective equipment, either an active or a passive. There is another, which is 15-25 or CRT, which is
Correct.
normally moving around with a thermal blanket. In general, all the major pharma, there will be multiple colleagues of mine sitting here, they are all moving with a thermal blanket. Expectation is that thermal blanket will withstand. Now the challenge is how long? This how long is changing. Last 10-15 years, the global temperature has been rising. Things have been changing. Now somebody has to focus. Boss, if it is there in your custody, please, how much does it take, sir? You put an IoT logger, you monitor the temperature of the ULD, you see what has been the rise in temperature. Based on that, you take an assessment.
Got it.
We have technology today to help us. You know the weather forecast, you know last 10 years temperature trend. If you do a data profiling, you will figure out what is the sweet spot, what can be done, what cannot be done. have a discussion. I am very, very sure even the pharma manufacturer will be happy to have a discussion which is based on data. We cannot just say, I'm sorry, Steffani, not to put you on spot, but we cannot say we closed a lane because that was not okay. There are ways to cater to it. I think we have still one more chance. I will suggest two small things in the next, but
I'll come to
this
that.
is what my point is.
You did not even let me ask you the question. I have to tick off that question before asking.
I'm sorry. There were so many comments coming. So
Amritendu, it was good that you brought that up because that's exactly what I was instigating you guys to do, was be open and talk about it.
Just 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, there's something called we should, as a
Your mic.
solution, I think what we should do is have a service level only for the Tarmac. That you will ensure you will not keep it on the Tarmac for more than 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour. You decide, put it in your terms and conditions, say, I'm sure all pharma guys will be very happy, secured 1 hour.
Sir, my question is 30, 35, 3 hours bhi rakhna hai na. There are ways to do it.
Correct.
Methodology.
Normally what is happening, right? We are trying to do something which is done somewhere else and we are trying to bring that.
Incorporate that here.
So I am telling you, there are very sophisticated airports. I will not name, it is a big forum. There are very sophisticated airports with all that infra and with all dollies. I still know the temperatures go up to 53, 54.
Wow.
It's shocking. My product is 15 to 25. Temperature goes up to 53. I am not able to answer to my quality guy. Second, sometimes we have to be a bit innovative. And today there are a lot of solutions in cold chain flooding India market. If we just focus and have an intent, I'm again and again saying, if you have an intent to solve it, forgetting who is responsible for what section, as a value we have to unlock that if pharma is moving by air, it's safe. Nobody has to have palpitations, nobody has to increase their BP, just thinking, okay, it has reached, okay, finally, oh, fine, there is no excursion. That should not be the case. Please understand that part.
The business of consciousness, right? Okay, Steffani, you wanted one. Quick one. I'll have to come there, you'll have to come here.
No, but I love the discussion because,
please
of
go
course,
ahead.
we have all the perspectives here.
Sure.
I don't know exactly what a tarmac time you were talking about and the locations you're talking about, because talking about the things that I see and the things that Delta does, where our network is accessible, right? Because we do a lot of transatlantic. Our usual acceptable tarmac time is 120 minutes, okay? And I think this is decent, this is good, and still, if I look at the number of shipments that I moved in a month and how many kappas and how many problems or deviations I have, it's very minimum, right? So the risks we are taking, our routes is very controllable. But now going through a perspective let's say more broad, not only Delta-centric, right? All of our airlines, we are very regulated, and we go by IATA standards, right? We are certified by CAV, right? I think is the highest certification that IATA can offer to the airlines. So we go by these standards. And of course, they are responsible to give us the guidelines on how we need to operate to move pharmaceuticals. And on that standpoint, they go back to the shipper and packaging, because at the moment we're accepting things in our custody, right? We assume that they can resist the whole transit time. And that's what IATA says, right? That's how they are regulating us on transportation. And that's what we do. And that's what I mentioned. When we see that something is problematic, is risky, instead of fixing, we close it, right? But I will tell another story.
Yeah.
You want to hear stories? I will tell a story.
Yeah.
We had a very problematic airport. I'm not going to give names. And the company that was responsible for 99% of the pharmaceutical volumes of this country, they were suffering a lot.
Okay.
And the drug we were transporting for this company was a life-saving drug. So ocean was not an option, right? Because they had a patient that is needing this tomorrow. It has to move by air. And the GEJ in the airport of that location was so problematic, and they damaged so many shipments. And we couldn't close the lane because it was specific to that service provider, right? And even the pharmaceutical company got involved to talk to the airport, talk to all the authorities so they understand what exactly the agents on the ground were moving. And ever since they got involved in this mission, because we were having so many problems, the airport came up with a different solution. They come with a different kind of equipment, right? Because of how severe the situation was. So I don't think there's a perfect path to be regulated or to do things, but with the correct involvement and putting the light on these problems, we can make changes, right? So I just wanted to give all
Google,
this
sir,
perspective.
I will ask Google, sir. Sir, if you can tell me how much is the loss in terms of USD billions for temperature deviations for pharma? I think you will find the figure. I'm talking about product value.
The value of the product.
Yes, it's about $35 billion annually.
That's the loss. That's correct.
This is a loss which is there in this value stream. The point is, see, I understand, Steffani, that there are regulators who have defined some things. My point is, if we just go by the books or the rule book, there is a different approach. If we really try to solve it, because for a lane by lane, there will be a different approach needed. And I sometimes find we are working in silos and trying to make ourselves the most efficient one. But we are not evaluating over the value stream, have we become the most efficient one? You go and talk to any major airlines, you visit their hub. Great. They are the best. They have put in the infra to the max there. Now, okay, because the cargo will visit the hub, I understand, but there is a pickup point, there is a drop point, there are multiple
Other touch points.
So you have to figure out a mechanism. This is what we will do for this category. And again, I'm saying this problem persists for a specific section of temperature control pharma, which is 15 to 25. This problem is minuscule in the cold chain or the 2 to 8 temperature because predominantly everybody is using a cold chain packaging for that. If we want to solve this 15 to 25, we will have to work together. You need to be very, but intent is needed. My first point, that intent needs measurement, intent needs data sharing, and then solutioning. If we do not do this, then we will be going on having these discussions more with Keku sir.
Now, I think, Amritendu, what we've come up so far at the end of this round at least is that, okay, there's an identifiable block that needs to be removed. Okay. Second, it's not universal. There are certain lanes, certain airports, certain points, certain touch points, certain avenues that need to be sort of, let's say, re-looked into. Don't want to go into names, it's a big forum, so we won't do that. But at the end of the day, conscious, and we are dealing with science. We are dealing with somebody's life who is depending on this product to save them. So I think the intent, as you rightly kept repeating over and over again, there has to be a clear intent on how you want to solve this and how you want to do it. So I'm going to quickly go on to the next one. I'm going to start with you back, Amritendu. The last time we were on this discussion, there was something very nice that happened with Amritendu, and he sort of made this beautiful remark. You want to say it, or am I going to say it? And I'll say it. It's better I say it. So Amritendu told me and told the audience, the Formula 1 pit stop is 1.76 seconds today. Correct? 1.76 thereabouts. He says, why are you taking 3 hours to change offload and onload cargo in an airport after 20 years?
In a controlled environment and where the guy is not cruising on the ground at 300 kilometers per hour.
Correct.
In stationary status, we are just offloading and loading.
So you're beating us like crazy, Amritendu. We're not going to do a pit stop of 1 minute and 3 or 1 second, 1.3 is not happening. But I get where you're coming from. I understand what you're looking at is to have a more seamless operation at the airport where the minimum time is there. One point before you answer that, and I come to you on that, is we have huge amount of security challenges in India compared to other airports in the world. We are in the midst of the powers to be that have always had air cargo to be a susceptible point of disruption from a security point of view. So that is probably one reason. I won't blame it on that. I won't say that that is. But the regulations as far as the security environment in India is concerned is extreme compared to the other countries. It's a debatable point. We don't want to go into that. But I'm saying, what do you want to see the change happening at the Tarmac from your perspective? You spoke about data, you spoke about integrity, you spoke about sincerity, you spoke about intent. Let's get practical. You want what from Steffani as an airline or Suresh as a terminator? What do you want them more to do compared to what they are doing today?
First, in the airway bill, don't write, will maintain the temperature wherever possible.
Interesting point.
If you write that, your entire actions will be driven by that. The moment you are writing that wherever
technically you
possible,
can't write it.
That's
It's
a
not valid.
legal point.
It's legal.
No, I am again, see, today I have thrown away my hat. I am the airline also, I am the airport also. I want a solution. I am telling from the perspective that if you want to figure it out, again, same point.
Sure.
Unless I mention that wherever possible, I will not think in that way. Now, we have sufficient amount of data, and in today's time, with, I think no discussion is there without AI, right?
Yeah.
With the AI times, if we are talking about, we should be knowing that if a particular nature of cargo is going to be there, let's say 3 hours, I understand that we have to work in constraints.
Correct.
But under constraints also, let's say, have we defined, let's say at the airport, multiple ULD thermal blankets, which will have a temperature profile that suits that particular location's temperature profile, which can be used as a protective covering for the ULT if it has to sustain 3 hours of tarmac exposure. You just take it off once you have loaded in the aircraft, because in the hold area you will have the temperature again. Now this is a reusable thing.
Correct.
Why I am telling in this perspective is because I need to have my solution cost effective. See, I come from that background of pharma, which is not innovator, which is generic. My intent is to make healthcare affordable. So I cannot suggest a solution where you will go and install a active container for my every 15, 25 cargo. The volumes that I move, it will not meet.
Won't make sense.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, why we cannot look at that. You maintain that if a cargo has to be uplifted from 12 noon or to 4 o'clock in Hyderabad or in Delhi, in winter or in summer, this is the thermal blanket that should be there in the ULD, irrespective of what has been done as the blanket or thermal blanket used by the shipper.
Makes sense.
Point is we are very much, again, yes, as a shipper, I take care, or I try to take care. But if there are certain, in any change in pharma goes through so many quality and regulatory changes and checks, it takes time. Once you start doing, see, I would be happy to understand that my product will be safe, because if it goes and sits there in the shelf because of a deviation, it doesn't help anybody. These are ways of looking at it. That's why I earlier said, it doesn't cost heavily if you put an IoT logger on the ULD where it continuously monitors the temperature when it is there in the tarmac, and your GHA can take an action. Sir, simple point. Today when Steffani was here and somebody was telling about temperature, we mentioned Delhi temperature is 7 degrees or something.
Correct.
So I just corrected, it is degrees Celsius. Because from where she comes, I think you use Fahrenheit.
Correct.
Now so the understanding of my 1525 when I am talking to my US counterparts or the forwarder's US counterpart, their understanding or awareness of that 1525 to a Fahrenheit, the degree Celsius to Fahrenheit, is a gap, might be. I don't know how much of awareness happens, because I have seen there are multiple times issues happening. So these are certain quick fixes which might not be very heavy in terms of monetary investment, but also respects the constraints that we have and still tries to give something better than what we have today.
I think the point you made, Amritendu, on blankets that have specific temperature retainability, if I may use that word, is a good idea. I don't know how we're going to do it. Probably we take that up separately as a discussion to see whether, as a packing solution, blankets can be monitored temperature-wise so that it covers various. Okay, I have a clock ticking and I have hungry stomachs looking for lunch here, so we have to make it really snappy. Doc, for you, your focus is, and as Amritendu rightly mentioned, integrity is very critical. You are as responsible in this chain for giving your patient, okay, not your supplier, your patient, if we're going to go have these problems unchecked, unsolved, okay, you're going to have a major problem in the years ahead, okay. I'm not saying that the volume is going to come down. What we're seeing is there are going to be, and God forbid, I hope I'm wrong, we're going to see more pandemics, you're going to see more requirements for medicines, more pharmas, more vaccines coming in.
I will be happy with more pandemics, more.
Yeah, you will be happy.
Sir, ऐसे मत बोलो.
The question is, what are you looking from the air freight industry? What do you want?
What we expect, I mean, not only from a particular industry, but throughout is end-to-end visibility throughout, okay, in any shipment we do. And I have something to talk, and Amritendu can correct me if I'm wrong. We have quality assurance, very heavy emphasis in our plant, okay. We have a lot of emphasis in our plant, we ensure everything. But the moment it leaves, there is no quality assurance. Why? So this is something we should think about it. Why not have QA inspectors even to go at least up to the airport and the seaport? Why? Because this will help us to find the root cause, how we can correct, how we can. I think this is just came out of my mind just now. You know?
Fair.
Okay, why not have guys who are on the field also? We do a hell lot of a thing within the plant, but we don't do anything out. So that's one point. About end-to-end visibility, I was thinking, you know, like there are, somebody I just met last conference only, they have now data loggers with a SIM card, which gives you on the laptop and track anything wherever it goes.
Yeah.
The only point is, in the sea freight, whether you'll get the signal for the SIM card, I don't know. And whether it goes on the belly of the aircraft, whether they'll get a signal. But if something happens, and in that you are able to track, see, as a shipper, I constantly want to know how long it has taken, if it has stuck, where it has stuck, for how long it has stuck. With the data logger gives a temperature, humidity check. But the whole thing is never tracked by us. We depend on the freight forwarders, we depend on all those guys who give us the input in bits and pieces. We have still not gone on a common digital platform. I think it's important to go on a common digital platform where everybody can log in and see the shipment from the time it left my plant right to the door delivery shipment somewhere in Atlanta or wherever it is, you know. Can I track the whole thing under one platform and the shipper can see it, the user can see it, without you have to keep on giving me feedback? That's the ultimate wish. It's a wish list, I would say.
I think that's coming. I think with data loggers today, the gap of non-visibility is shrinking at quite a rate.
Yeah.
It probably in the near future, from the time you hand over a shipment to the time it reaches the destination, you probably will have an end-to-end visibility.
And let me tell you, a lot of those will get solved because everybody is aware. See, what a person wants to know where it is, how it is going, what it is. And temperature and other thing is coming through the data loggers and all, you know. So I think that's one thing as a person who is exporting, we would definitely like to see that. I mean, apart from that, there's always a cost part of it, which is a big one. But I think cost I look at as an opportunity rather than a challenge. And I'm telling you this from both sides. And I'll give a small story if you give me some time.
I need your story.
I'll tell you. We had a big tender from Ethiopia. It's a very interesting story. Big tender from Ethiopia. It was around 10 million vials, injection vials, by air. Can you imagine a 20 ml vial by air? And the condition in the tender is you have to use Ethiopian Airlines only. Okay? And there were two parts to it. The FOB cost was this much, and the insurance rate, so much will be given to you. It was a CIF shipment. And insurance rate, you'll get so much. I won't tell you the numbers and I won't tell you.
Fair point.
Okay?
We'll have antitrust issues then.
But you won't believe, I mean, my chairman, he told me, Arloph, the FOB में तो हम बनाएंगे पैसा. ये करेंगे वो करेंगे सब पैसा बनाएंगे, री इंजीनियरिंग, कार्टन छोटा करेंगे, ग्रामेज थिन करेंगे, सब करेंगे, वहाँ पैसा बनाएंगे, लेकिन फ्रेट में भी बनाना है पैसे. So he wanted me to negotiate so hard with the Ethiopian Airlines that whatever was the component of the insurance freight, in that also he wanted a margin. So here a challenge is an opportunity for the business.
Got it.
And let me tell you honestly, we still made 2 cents in the logistic part only, and for a 10 million now calculate what. So he was very happy with us, you know. So cost is something which should not be looked, and with the current digitalization, the unified platform that we have, and so much of our policy and all, cost is going to come down. And with
I'm
cost
so
coming
happy
down,
to hear that you're making
And
money.
let
Please share that money with the rest of us in the industry, okay? We have forwarders, terminal operators, airports that need part of that
And
money.
let me tell you, Keku, with cost having come down, the volume will only go up. See, air, I'm again repeating, the shift from sea to air is going to go in a big way, at least for pharma, especially the...
I hope we got this recorded because this is a statement I've not heard before. So thank you. I hope we get this recorded.
So
Thank
I'm
you.
sure it is going to move, and we are going to do a lot of business in air only. It makes sense. Inventory value comes down, transit time is low, and high value products. It really makes sense to send by air.
Thank you,
Okay,
thank you, Doc. Music to my ears at least. Steffani, I'm going to take the same point back to you of technology. We're talking AI, we're talking ML, etc. As Delta, have you invested a lot in future technologies? I just want your feedback on that quickly, please.
Yes, and I was about to pick up your wish list. I was feeling like Santa Claus here, listening all these wishes that you both have. And we launched in October a brand new technology, which right now it's only available in the United States in our domestic airports. And main reason why it's only available there is because the implementation is not easy. Like it took us 2 years to get like the entire United States on board on this solution. And it's a live tracking label. You're looking for visibility, right? So right now we have this technology, and it's a partnership with a company named Traconomy, and they created this product that we can activate and stack to our freight and gives us full visibility in very detail. Right, and that's why it takes so much time to be implemented. So from the moment we stick this label in our freight, we can see from the acceptance desk to the build-up area to the cooler, all the journey that the shipment is making, even inside of the warehouse. And that is already implemented in our website, so our customers can see that through the journey, right? So it's quite impressive, but of course, it comes with a cost. Right, so we are offering this only for like premium products that we are doing domestically, and we are combining this technology also with AI. And so AI is making all the reading of this data that this label is transmitting and helping us to identify possible failures in our operations. So if a shipment is very close to miss a connection, we know before the fact that this is about to happen. So we are testing this since October, and we are hoping that we can continue grow, right? Because as you said, cost can be limiting, and like we have perfect products and perfect customers for some solutions. So I think as we become to a point that this is sustainable, we can continue grow this technology across our hubs. But it's a beautiful beginning, and we are very excited for the future.
Great. So you are using predictive technology, predictive analysis to understand what could possibly go wrong.
Exactly.
Great.
Now we are working before the failure, not after the fact.
I think back to you as a forwarder, you've heard them. You also heard that they're making good money and they're going to share money with you. So all the forwarders here are like music to their ears. I think, what do you want from them?
Keku, first, I would like to thank you to give me this opportunity to come here. It has been a valuable experience, and what I've heard, especially from these two gentlemen and from the career point of view also. We have discussed this. I would just like to summarize something over here. And I think everyone on this panel and the house over here will agree to that. We have heard the word integrity, right? Then we have also over here the warehouse operators, the terminal operators, the carrier and the shippers. As a freight forwarder, when I said we are the binding force, Like
Correct.
we are the one who are coordinating, understanding their requirement, bringing up to each and every like stage when we come, either at the time of offloading at the terminals or handing over to the carrier. When we get to know, or probably when we are being asked, when the gentleman said they get the information in bits and pieces from the
Correct.
forwarder.
Correct.
Right? So this is where I would like to say that technology definitely plays a very important part. We need to have these API access between, we need to have that mechanism in place. This is one of the challenges, and probably this should be looked very seriously now, where the API access is being given to the manufacturer, shared by the forwarder, carrier, the operators, and also it is also linked to in some way to the custom systems. So that online information which is available on different portals are like collaborated and shared with everyone for them to understand and see where things are going wrong. That could be one of the aspects. Second, as a freight forwarder, I would also like to add something like we have these hubs for pharmaceuticals, like we say in North India, Badi is the hub for pharmaceutical industries, and the nearest airport is Delhi, right? So what, as a forwarding point of view, we see is that there's a transportation which is overnight transportation from the plant to the factory, from the factory to the airport, and in certain time when it is a bit challenging, when space is a situation probably, we have to bring it only once we have a confirmed booking in hand. I think Amritendu would like agree with me. If we have these warehouses, the GDP compliant, temperature sensitive warehouses, not at the airport because the cost will be very high. Again, we're talking about the cost over here. If we have those GDP compliant private warehouses nearby the airports, where the cargo when it is ready is being transferred, so this saves a lot of time.
Correct.
Right? And then, and if in case it's we have to do the packaging, it also gives us more leverage in terms of package shelf life.
Correct.
So that also helps. So these are certain challenges. But coming back to the point, as partners, we all have to have this collective thought, think it over, and because it has to be cost effective, number one, but we also need to understand everything comes at a cost.
Well said. Suresh, we started with you. We're going to conclude with you as well. Suresh, there's one technical thing that I wanted to check with you. Are you integrating the, as Asim mentioned, are you integrating with API connections to all the stakeholders? Because as a greenfield airport, you got a clean slate. So is that on your plan?
Great. I was actually going to be mentioning about this point itself because there was a lot of stress with regards to the information transparency, which is a concern today. Now, as a business process, when we are accepting a shipment or like kind of dispatching it to the aircraft, obviously within the terminal there is a digital process or a digital documentation process which exists as such. What we could also do, okay, the thought what I have got in my mind now is that since the data loggers are already expected to be like kind of inside the packages, and at the same time we could also be like kind of putting it on the ULDs where we'll be like kind of loading it and sending it to the tarmac. Again, the same word. So that information can also be like kind of integrated through API technology with our system, which is a common platform. Like it's
accessible to everybody.
Yes, absolutely. So the cargo community system has got that capability of having all the other stakeholders also on the same board.
Suresh, will it be real time?
It will be real time, yes.
That's important.
Yes,
It will
absolutely.
be.
So what happens is that until it gets on board the aircraft, obviously this information is already there. You're getting information updates about acceptance, departure, right, transit and all that. Either it is through the freight forwarder. In today's environment, it's the freight forwarder who's like giving you that information. Why? Because the freight forwarder is already like integrated to that cargo community system. That's the reason they get that information. They pass on to you, right? Likewise, the airlines are also like connected to that system. They have their own operating system which provides you the milestone reports or the updates. What I'm trying to say is that you get the milestone updates regarding the transportation, but not about the efficacy or the temperatures the temperatures of that particular shipments.
Data logger is not real time.
I'm not saying that it is happening today. I'm saying it's a possibility that if we could integrate these kind of technologies together, yes, near of your far future, definitely we should be able to like kind of share that information.
Just a point, what I heard last time from CSC, Mumbai CSC, they today give the visibility of the temperature during the storage. If you can extend when the ULD from the ball mat area is going to the tarmac, that data is getting relayed there, you have closed that loop.
Absolutely.
Then
Agreed.
you
Absolutely.
do the same thing at all the airports, and then it becomes the responsibility of the airline at the hubs also, or at the destination also. Same. That continuity is there. We are having visibility what's happening.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
This is
So-
real end-to-end visibility that what you guys are
Precisely,
talking
yes.
about.
So all
Clear.
the stakeholders have to be aligned on that. Obviously, there has to be a data integration between all the stakeholders, right? Starting from the shipper's point itself, not just like where the freight forwarder is like picking it up or like taking their vehicles and bringing it to the airport or any other places where it will be like loaded and packed as such. So that has to be an end-to-end solution. Then only you will be able to have that total
Correct.
supply chain visibility as such. That's my take on that. Yeah.
So I have something called times up here. I don't know what it means. It means leave this place. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the Q&A very differently. This time they are going to ask the questions to see if you guys were paying attention to them. Should that work? No. Okay, fine. Very, very quickly, I think 2 minutes questions if there is to the panel, please.
Hello, I'm Vipin Jain, 45 years in the industry already. Just to give you a background, thermal blanket is already in place for 15 years. Now, I want to give you one tip. If you really want to safeguard your cargo on the ramp, please plan the cargo on flights which are after sunset. Believe you me, cargo is coming out at 20 degrees temperature from 15 to 25 degrees cool chamber, and outside it is 40, 45 degrees. So you have to be very careful. Similarly, during hub, where it is transiting, also has to be kept in mind. I think it will not completely take out the problem, but it will certainly reduce the problem to 30 to 40%. This much I can guarantee you.
Thank you. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Keku. My name's Andre Morel. I represent an airport, actually, so that's Tarmac, I guess.
Yep.
We're in Chicago. Chicago Rockford Airport, actually, which gives you an alternative airport solution. And what I haven't heard today regarding procurement is airport selection. I've heard a lot about airline selection, procurement, and freight forwarder selection, but I'd like to hear the panel's thoughts on airport selection.
As a destination?
Yeah, as an alternative, when you have selected an airport, whether it be the freight forwarder, the shipper, or the airline, and that airport delivers deadweight loss across the entire supply chain of the logistics process. If you understand what deadweight loss is, then you should really try and work to mitigate that loss.
Good question. Do you, as shippers, do you have a say on which particular airport you want as your destination?
To answer, it's a trade-off between cost and quality, okay? When I go by, if I select the airport, then my route is not optimized. I go in a different route. The cost will slightly go up, but if it is a better airport, more controls are there, it ensures my quality. So it's a trade-off between quality and cost is what I would like to look at it.
So for me, bit different. I would be very clear in terms of the partners, the forwarding partners that we have. They do not suggest or do not bring up any airport where my cargo is not safe. I do not use any airport where I understand that the storage facility of the product that I'm sending will not be there. I eliminate those airports. Those are not the airports that are recommended to us by our partners, or even we do not use them. So it's based on the infra of the airport, we take calls. We do not use them.
Perfect. Anybody else has a question? No? Okay, brilliant. So let me conclude this very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. I have 2 points. One, Two important points that I wanted to highlight, and then probably we'll see how it goes from here. The first important point is we need, as an industry, to pay attention to what's inside the box. All right? As the aviation industry or the aviation ecosystem, we see a box. We see a box. What you see is the product. All right? I think there's somewhere that the box and the product needs to start talking more to each other.
Well said. Yeah.
Second, I think this is the problem of today. Okay? It's not something that we can push over a longer period of time or push it to, the next generation to come and say, hey, you know what? This is not my problem. This is your problem. You guys solve it. It needs to be done now. There are lives at stake, and there are countries that are depending on us as a country to give them the kind of quality pharma that they expect. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to my panelists for their time, and thank you for being a lovely audience.
Our lovely audience, some energy in the room, a bigger round of applause. What a wonderful panel discussion that was. And now request Mr. Mohit Mewani to join us on stage to felicitate our remarkable industry leaders. And I also request Mr. Keku there with Mohit to felicitate our lovely panelists today. Starting with, we would first like to felicitate Mr. Suresh Nair from Navi Mumbai International Airport. Next, we would like to felicitate Mr. Seem Kapoor, Asia Shipping India. Next, we would like to felicitate the absolutely gorgeous Miss Steffani Souza from Delta Cargo. Next, we would like to felicitate Dr. Arloph Vieira from Bajaj Healthcare. Next, we would like to felicitate Mr. Amritendu Mukherjee from Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Request Mr. Mewani to please felicitate our absolutely remarkable moderator for this panel discussion, Mr. Keku Gazder. I request all the panelists for a group photograph to come ahead. Can we please have a smiling group photograph? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mewani, and thank you to our panelists once again.